Wake from reality. Wake to live. Wake from your dream. Wake to see. Wake from the fear that is tearing at the seams.
Hello and welcome to the Odyssey of Truth Part 2. We're here with Lorenzo. It is Part 2. We've done Part 1 and Part 1.5. So if you haven't seen those, check them out. They're on our channel and also on the Telegram channel. Links below. Make sure you join up. And today we're going to have a chat about the system that we're born into and how we're born into a system that wants to rule us from the day we're born, really, and treat us as a commodity rather than a living person. So we're going to get into a bit of that today, look at what they've done, and of course, at the end, we shall have solutions for a better way forward. So welcome, Lorenzo.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here today. It's an interesting topic that we're going to jump into, finding out how we've been caged from day one, so to speak, or how they've tried to cage our energy from our birth certificate moving on is certainly something that was a surprise to me as I grew into my understanding of what it is that I'm trying to get out of.
It is quite nefarious how it's all been set up, and it's literally from the time we come out and our mother gives birth to us. And this is all to do with the ocean and maritime. They put us in a category and they say we're all lost at sea. And of course, birth is the same as where you put a boat, right? A boat birth. So this is all maritime language. So let's get some pictures up and we'll have a bit of a discussion.
All right. I will talk a little bit here while Campbell's bringing up some pictures. What shocked me after the last little while, after hearing about this kind of information for a while, is I have my original birth certificate that I've kept basically my whole life. My parents got it for me 3 years after I was born, and maybe they've issued new ones now from Canada, but it basically had in little print at the bottom that it was issued by the Ministry of Finance, which shocked me quite a bit, because when I've heard from a lot of people ago that we've been set up as as instruments of commerce and trade instead of live beings, or what they're trying to set us up as. And you think it's all maybe a theory or a conspiracy theory or something nonsense, and then you wonder why the Ministry of Finance has its little mark on the bottom of your birth certificate. So that kind of opened my eyes quite a bit to seeing that maybe a lot of what I've heard as being strange has actually been true. And, we're going to tie it into, as Campbell said, coming back to how to maybe reclaim yourself through the nonsense of what has been allowed to be taken away. And I think an allowance is the most important thing to look at like this, is that you have to allow yourself to be bought and sold, and then you have to disallow those agreements as you get older. Exactly.
In the end, it is all, a game of compliance. We have to comply, and it's all a big trick, really. They make us think that we have to do it, but we don't. It's all choice. Of course, we're not slaves. So here's the first pic here. And this is just to show you, Admiralty law is all about the ocean. And the way this all sort of came about is from trading, really, is from doing trading through shipping. And someone got the great idea to turn all the people into commodities so that they could basically put us on the stock market, trade us, all this kind of stuff, and control us and charge us for being on the earth, is really what they've done here. But I'll just read this quickly. It says, when the ship pulls into the berth, the captain must produce a document of manifest to inform the port authorities of what product he's bringing into the country and the economy. This is the law of the seas. It's UCC, or Uniform Commercial Code. It's the commercial law that regulates all activities of four corners of the earth. The captain is being the informer, and he is informing the bankers of what he brings into the port. Now, if we take that across to you and your birth, when you're born, you come out of your mother's waters. Of course, we know the waters break, right? You are labeled a maritime admiralty product. Your parents sign a document called a birth or birth certificate, informing the authorities a product has just been produced. So you're a product. This is all regulated under commercial law, the law of the seas, and not the law of the land. your parents acting as the informers, informing to the bankers. And of course, they don't understand that. Most parents think they're just doing what's right, looking after the rights of the child, but they're actually signing that child over to the bankers as a commodity. And that's why we can be taxed.
I mean, it's very interesting when you look at everything and you see what's going on and you see what's being created and what hasn't been. And, I've noticed over the last, I haven't been alive for 100 years, but I've just noticed over the last 100 years, people have been directed more and more away from creating anything of value or anything of lasting worth, from, maybe raising your own food or making clothes or the necessities of life, to when I got older, watching people that are just trading, as Campbell said, commodities, shifting money around, switching digital currencies around, all kinds of jobs, even today, that have nothing to do with anything, we'll say, of a physical nature. So basically what it's boiled down towards or shifted in is energy, right? And as you said, as a commodity, something that's traded from one side to the next, and it comes back down to what Campbell has said, in that, we're born, we're given away, we're listed as an energetic resource. And then from that point on, through what our parents have signed, unless you reclaim that, you're traded and your time is monetized.
Yep. It is. And it's a contract. But the thing about this is that we'll get into is we didn't sign that contract, and we definitely didn't have full disclosure, because this was all done at our time of birth, obviously. So our parents signed it for us. So this is how they treat us. This is obviously because if we weren't a commodity, they couldn't tax us, they couldn't throw us in jail, they couldn't do all stuff. But because they treat us as a commodity, not a living man or woman, and we agree, and that's because we don't understand, right? We haven't been given full disclosure of what's going on. But so they just treat us as a commodity. So, they can throw us in jail, they can take our things. And the legal name is fraud. So your legal name, and you may have noticed this when you get letters from the government, they love to put your surname first or your last name before your first name. And they love to write it in all capitals. Now, when they do this, what they've done is they've actually created another entity. And, people refer to it as the all caps entity. And it's fake. It doesn't exist. It only exists on paper. But as soon as we agree that we're that person, then we become the product, and they can, use their law against us.
Which really comes down to everything we've talked about in relation to the Oddyssey of truth, in that what you decide is true for you does become true for you. And if you live your life as a commodity or the doppelganger, your legal surname, and you follow through along with those rules, then you fall into all of the traps and taxes and rules for the fools, instead of, claiming for yourself what it is and how you would like to live your life. We talked about schooling in the last one, and I think it starts with, as you put into a regimented system of being told what to do, as any commodity is traded by the commodity owner, and that the commodity has no say in where it goes, what it does, even its value. It's just literally listed and bartered from one side to the next by your supposed owners or your supposed masters. And, it's something that needs to be understood for yourself, so that you can make some actions in relation to how you would like to change your life.
What we need to keep in mind is that this is just a scam. It only works if we agree, or if we don't understand the scam. And so every time they send you a letter and you reply to it, you're agreeing that you're the name on that letter, and that's not actually you. And this is all got to do with understanding that the government's not your friend. It's really not. They're out to rob you. They're out to control you. So once you understand that, then you can start to see what's going on. Obviously, if you think that the government's there to protect you, then this is going to make so much sense. But it's all here. You are a man or a woman. You're not a person. Okay, so we see this person word everywhere now. A person is just an entity on paper. They don't exist. So here we have the man, and this is the living man, John Harris, and the person is Mr. J. Harris. So see how they've changed that to all capitals. They've hyphenated his first name, put the Mr. in there. This one exists naturally. This is fictional, created by the divine, created by the government, subject to common law jurisdiction. That's the law of the land. This one, subject to civil policy jurisdiction and obviously maritime law as well. Must never harm another or cause another harm in any form or loss. And that is the rule. That's it. Do no harm. Cause no harm. And if you do that and live like that, then you have broken no laws. If there's no victim, then there's no law being broken. And this is the thing. I mean, with a speeding ticket, who have you hurt? Who's the victim? Because all crime is predicated upon, well, it should be, upon the point that there's a victim, and that victim needs to be compensated for whatever someone's done against them. Now, if you're speeding, that they're just stealing from us, guys. So the legal person must fulfill duties given to by the government, and this is things like paying tax, right? Or if you don't do it, they throw you in jail. The man is free and unlimited ability to contract and settle debt in private under commercial law. And a person does business in the public controlled by civil law and corporate courts. The man, if you've got a problem, you can walk up to another man or woman and you can just talk and you can come to an agreement and you can settle it and it's done. If you go under the legal name, it's always to do with money. They'll get you in there and they want your money. You have to pay money, and then you have to pay for the right to defend yourself or whether you lose or win. So that's your straw man, as they call it, the straw man.
So it's very interesting that, I've seen many people fight this system and, go through the courts to understand what's going on with their straw man, to reclaim themselves, to reclaim their lives. And, from the inside out, I would feel, and tell me what you think, Campbell, that, understanding all of this is super important, mostly for seeing how you were raised, right? How you think about things, what you believe is true. I mean, most people pay taxes because they feel they have no choice, right? Most people will get a driver's license because they feel they have no choice, or will pay that speeding ticket because they feel they have no choice. And understanding that you have choice, there may be challenges with every decision, and certainly, you'll have to go through whatever stresses come of waking up and seeing that you're not your straw man, but you're a real person or woman, in this lovely world. What do you feel in relation to having figured this out for yourself? I guess that's an important one. Let's say the Bing Bing came up. How would you feel it's helped you to understand all of these bits and pieces of the difference between the straw man and yourself?
I came across all this stuff probably over 10 years ago, and of course I had no idea that it was going on, as none of us do, because we're not told this, and actually we're taught to do the opposite. We go to school for education, or what we are told is education, but what is really going on and what they are doing is they improve their commodity, right, their investment, because they give us they turn us into workers so that we can then go out and be part of their economy. And that's the problem. We need to understand that we're free. We can do what we want. And we're born under this illusion that we have all these rules. And of course, this is, from day dot, right? And they send us to school and everything. And that's to get us, to turn us into good subjects, right? To turn us into good workers so that we never question what's going on. But the truth is, this is actually pretty simple. All these debts and people, going to jail and going bankrupt because the government comes after them. If you understand that all they can come after is your legal created fictional entity, then that changes everything. They cannot actually touch ever a living man or woman. So when you go into court and all these things, all they want you to do is to agree that you are this made up person that they've got on a piece of paper. They want you to, they'll sit there and say, are you Mr. J. Harris? If you say yes, they gotcha. So this is the thing. It's we just need to know a little bit. We don't need to be masters of the law. You just need to know who you are and your common rights, and understand that you did not sign a contract signing your rights away. And so unless these people are God and they can prove it, they have no control or jurisdiction over you ever. It's all implied, and it's all to do with consent.
I think it comes down to more on a visceral level of understanding that deep in your soul, deep in who you are, that, you know, you have to give your freedom away. You have to give your sovereignty away. You have to give your rights away. You have to give your life away. And, you know, all these pieces of paper, I would say more than anything, are used, you know, I've seen, you know, this is how I'll put it, the people that are fighting to change on the outside, you know, to reclaim their straw man, to reclaim the money in their Ministry of Finance, you know, to reclaim their right to travel instead of, you know, journey or whatever it is, to have a license. And I personally have found, I think everyone has it backwards, if I may be so bold. I've seen hundreds of people fight this, doesn't work, they end up in trouble. You know, the people that have set up this system don't really follow their own rules either. And I'm going to look at turning this entire chat on its head by saying, the person you're supposed to convince all this is true or not true is not the system that set it up against you. The person you're looking to convince is the man or woman who you actually are. You know, if you're looking to change it on the outside, I've seen, like I said, too many people are going, well, I want to travel without my license. I don't want to pay any taxes. You know, I need the government to tell me it's okay. I need the government to give me back my finances. I want to reclaim my bond. I want to cash that in. I don't know how many people have come to me with that. And to be perfectly honest, I've seen them all crash and burn in one way or another. And the Odyssey that we're on, the Odyssey of Truth, you know, as we said in our first, the journey back to you, is, in my opinion, to turn this around and to realize you have to reclaim the man or woman from the person. And from that, everything will change for you, not waiting for an outside source to tell you, you know, all of this is true. I mean, Campbell's done the research. I've come across a lot of people that have done this research, and it's very obvious if you start to look the shenanigans that have been played on us. But what's not obvious is how you unshenanigize yourself, if you like, right? How you go in and you do, you know, you turn the arrow that Campbell is showing us back from the person to the man. Like, you have to turn that arrow around for yourself. And, you know, how do you do that? Well, that's why we're on this Odyssey.
Yeah. And this is the thing, people have been trying to get, you know, work this out for, you know, for well over a decade. And most of them have ended in jail. And the problem is, people try and use the system to fight the system. You can't do that. The system has been made so that we lose and they win. So it's like Lorenzo said, you just have to understand that the system doesn't apply to you. It doesn't mean anything unless you agree it does. You are a free man or woman. And unless someone can prove different, well, you know, they've got no claim at all. So it's definitely about understanding who you are. And this is all a scam, and you can say no. And the more times we say no, you know, that this will start to fall apart, this system, because it's all us acquiescing, you know, just as we see at the moment in the writer world. It's all about just getting people to believe the story. And as soon as they agree, then they've got us. And here's just another quick one, natural versus artificial. So natural is created by God. It's man or woman, and it is basically above the government or the corporation, because they don't create anything. It's all artificial. Living lawful men and women versus dead legal personalities. Private rights versus public privileges. And that's a big one, is they give us all these public privileges. Well, it's the privileges, right? Things like driving your car. Okay, now have a think of this scenario. We go out, we buy a car, we pay for it, we work, we put the money in, we own that car. We pay taxes to build roads so that we can drive our cars. But then the government, the state, want us to pay them so we can drive our car on our road. Okay, and then if we go a little bit too fast and they don't like it, they're going to charge us more for that. And if we don't pay that, they'll take your license away and say, now you can't drive at all. How can they do that? Because we register cars. Now, when you register something, the legal definition is you're giving ownership away. So when you register your car, you're actually signing it over to the government. That's why they can impound it and crush it if they want to. If it's unregistered, they can't touch it because it's private property.
Yeah, it's like you go in to get your license, you sign your name, you sign your agreement, you give them your picture, you sign your name to the bottom of it. You're basically agreeing to all of the rules and laws that they've set up. Right? I mean, obviously, if you drive without a license and you get stopped, you're going to have your challenges, but probably anyone will tell you the best court case they've ever been to is the one they've never been to. Right? The best jail they've ever seen is the one they've never seen. You know, the best taxes they've ever come across are the ones they've never paid. So, you know, you have to find your own way to the side of these things. And that's by realizing, I think, with 100% of your being, that you have all your private rights, that you are the living lawful man or woman, you know, that you have your lawful standing, you know, your natural God-given right to exist by simply having been born here. You know, your parents decided in one way or another to bring you here, not the government, right? You know, your parents, through love, decided to give you birth through their love and energy and their existence, however they've decided to do it. And you know, it's the artificial side of things that seems to trap everyone from, as Campbell would say, day dot till the day they die, unless you free yourself from that.
Definitely. And this is the question, you know, are you owned? Do you believe in God? Do you believe that men succeed God and they can, you know, make man's rule on earth? It just doesn't make sense at all. And it only works when we go along with it. And of course, it's all about this, right? You see, a natural man or woman living on the earth, they don't need to pay tax to a corporation. And this is another point, is your government isn't a government, guys. Your government is a corporation, and it is listed on the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is the site that lists all corporations and companies in the Western world. And so all governments are registered as companies, corporations in Washington, D.C. So there you go.
Interesting.
Your government's not even a government.
No, and I've seen websites which I'll try and find and put a link below where, you know, the presidents and prime ministers are all listed as actors as well. Their vocations, right? You know, they're you know, everyone's pretending that they get up on their stage, they say what they say, they're probably handed a script like all actors, they play their part. And, you know, something else I've also heard about taxes, which is interesting, is that if you know that the governments print the money and make the money, there's no shortage of money. In that, you know, they have a machine making as much as they want, and now they have a computer putting out as many digital bips and blops as they want. And what someone had shared with me, which seems very effective in understanding how you can free yourself, is that taxes are just there to give the illusion that money has a value. Right? They give you something and then they try and take it away your whole life. You know, they'll charge you tax for this, they'll charge you tax for that, they'll charge you extra for this. You know, they'll charge you rent for that, you know, the home taxes, house taxes, carbon taxes they want to do now, all this other garbage that they're trying to set up, travel taxes, et cetera, et cetera. And something I would assume only has value if someone else seems to want it from you. You know, and I have a strong feeling that that's one of the reasons they've set up the taxes, is just to show you that chain, to give you a feeling that, you know, the salary you make or the money you make or whatever digital things you have in your bank account numbers have a value simply by the fact that there are so many hands out wanting to take it, in so many ways that you give it energy by decrying the fact that there are so many taxes.
And they're hidden. You know, we all have income tax, but in, I think it was the 90s, in Australia, they brought in, you know, the GST, and most countries have got this too now. So you pay your tax, but now every time you buy anything, anytime you make a transaction, you're taxed on that. So the amount that we're taxed, I believe that, see, tax only came in World War II in most countries. Before that, there was no tax, but we still had countries, we had roads, we had government employees, we had all this stuff, because, you know, they still have like fuel taxes and all these other bits and pieces where they gain income. So income tax is a complete scam, and most of us are paying well above 50% of our income and our money that we earn. We're paying it back to the government for no reason. And it gets more and more and more. And of course, 30 years ago, Mum didn't need to work. dad could work 40 hours and have a good life, right? Now mum has to work and both people doing 60 hours. And the reason that they did that is because they wanted to be able to tax your mum's income. Like they wanted to be able to tax both people. That's why they got mum out to work. And also that gives them access to children to indoctrinate them all so they can repeat the cycle. So it's really about us waking up and understanding that this is all a scam. They try and, shame people, right? If you don't pay tax, they try and shame you and say, this person's against society, right? They're not paying their part. Everyone else is paying. This person's, they're trying to get away with not doing their part. But that's a scam. If you look into this, where's all this money going? We pay more and more taxes. Why aren't our lives and our cities and our environments getting better? Like, ask yourself that question. This is all a scam, guys. All a scam.
And also, even in the first place, if you understand that your governments, as they came up right now, make the money and print the money, and they don't have to borrow the money from the other corporations behind the corporations that supposedly lend them the money that don't have it in the first place, they don't even need your taxes to pay the bills or to build the roads, or do any of those things. I mean, basically, they are the money. Right. And so, even if you look a little deeper into it, you got to wonder, why are there taxes in the first place? I mean, sure, they go up, as Campbell said, and sure, they've gotten higher. And probably if you do your calculations, 80% of whatever you earn is taken back in taxes at this point, and in inflation, the hidden tax, things are getting more expensive even, every day, even though they deny it the whole time. So, what's really going on behind the scenes of all of these governments?
It's a control system. It's not about the money. And as we can see here, governments are owned by corporations. They're run by psychopaths lying about an imaginary economy based on debt, fueled by illegal wars, destroying ecosystems, poisoning food and water, decreasing education, and increasing the prison systems, manipulating the media, suppressing free energy, making us struggle, starve, humiliating and killing us and the rest of the world, all while we stay silent. We pay taxes and we vote these people back in again. And we know this, guys. Who out there has ever met someone who wanted to start a war? People don't want to start wars, but we don't like, we're smarter than that. It's governments that start wars. And most of the time it's done for economic reasons. And also probably keep, the masses under control, right? A bit of culling. But this is the thing. When you look at it, if you're under the impression that the government is your friend, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you need to go and do your research, because the truth is they are anything but your friend. And if you don't believe me, just look out your window at what's happening today.
I mean, it doesn't take more than, I would say, a bit of reasoning to figure out that, since I've been a little boy, and even till, a couple of years ago, the government was always spouting how important the economy is, how important the economy is, how important the economy is. It's all you ever hear about is, they're raising taxes for the economy, or they're doing trades for the economy, or they're doing this for the economy, or they're protecting this for the economy, or moving that for the economy. And then suddenly, when there's a virus that doesn't really exist, or doesn't exist, even if some people believe it does, in any relation to how strong they say, they pretty much shit all over the economy as fast as they can, taking away all the jobs and locking everyone away and stopping the economy from working. And you never hear about the economy ever again, almost. And 2 years ago, it's the most important thing on the planet. And now the most important thing on the planet is, take your pick on the other shenanigans they're passing along to you. But, it's really easy to see that you're kept in a dance of futility and stupidity, I would say, and tricked to be that commodity, as we talked about with your birth certificate originally, and you get shunted around without much of a say, I would say, in the matter, until, of course, you decide to reclaim your say.
It's a really good point. All our lives, right, we're brought up, schooling, everything is focused on the economy. What are you going to be when you grow up? What kind of job are you going to have? What are you studying? Oh, what are you going to be? Blah, 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 blah. Money, money, money. Get your house, get your loans. And then suddenly, 2 years ago, that doesn't matter. Now everyone has to focus on something else. Now it's something else that makes you a good citizen.
Yeah.
Before, it was doing the right thing, wasn't it? And working and paying your taxes. and making sure that you got up on time and had lunch on time. Now it's about following the new mandates, which just really goes to highlight that this has got nothing to do with economies, with health systems, with anything. It's got to do with control, and that's it, just control.
I mean, do a little bit of historical studies. In Japan, they used to have to make rice, right? And that was the economy. And way back when the samurais or the warrior class were ahead of the commercial class, right? And the farmers were a lot higher than that because rice was important. And then, you get the capitalism that comes on, and suddenly farmers are down to, the low end of the pole, so to speak, for the most part. And the commercial class is up higher, or they were until recently, right? So suddenly, as you say, when the new mandates came on a couple of years ago, suddenly the commercial class isn't important anymore, right? And then the medical class is important, but they keep shuffling the chairs and shuffling the deck and shuffling it around. And as long as you're looking outside yourself for someone to tell you how to be alive and what's important and what's not, and where to put your energy and where not to put your energy, it's a losing game, right? You're literally, chained to someone else's idea about your life. And as it says in that big red government, mind control, govern mind, mind control, govern your mind. And until you reclaim what's going on inside between your own two ears, it's a losing game from the beginning to the end, in my opinion, as far as you being able to free yourself into a life you would like to live.
Definitely. And yeah, good point. Government, govern from Greek, to rule meant from the mental, the mind, to rule mind is exactly what government means. And of course, legalese is what they use to confuse us. They use all these different words. Like we said, they've got man and person. Okay, that they're completely different things, but we think they're the same thing. And they do this, it's just called legalese, and it's written down as an actual language. Legalese, it's an actual language. And it's just so that they say everything differently, so we don't understand. And we go, oh, okay, we think that we understand what's being said to us, and so we agree to it. And then if you look into the legal definitions, you'll find that these things don't mean what you think they mean. They really don't. It's just like warranty. Do you know what a warranty is? I mean, a warranty, basically, when you pay a warranty, it means that they don't, it means the exact opposite. It means that they don't, they're not going to, if your thing breaks, they're not going to cover it, is what a warranty is. It's just like when you register something, you think that you own it, that you're telling the government, look, this is mine now, I've registered it. But what you're doing is you're giving that away to the government, not literally. With babies, with cars, with whatever you register. All these things, words with ship in them. Ship, right? Maritime law. Citizenship. Get on board the boat, right? This is all legalese. This is all spelling, right? And we touched on spelling in the last video with school, but this is what it is. This is the spells, the spell casting, and this is what they do. We think, understand what that means, but we don't. That means something different, and that's the spell. That's how they get us.
Yeah, you're giving your power away, right? You're giving your power to your home away, believing someone else is going to look after it. You're giving the power of your children away, believing someone else is going to look after them. Even if you sign a warranty, I would say you're giving the power of your choice away in purchasing a high quality, whatever it is that you want to purchase, instead of, falling for the fact they're going to fix it for you in 6 months if it breaks, without considering, old style ways of manufacturing. Things used to last forever. When I was in my 30s, I picked up a fan that my mother had picked up when she was a little girl, that was in our basement, 30 years later, made of metal, and I plugged it in, was working just fine. No one needed a warranty. It was just made to last, and it lasted. And that was the end of it. Now you'll pick up something that's got a year warranty, and, it'll be garbage in 6 months or a year and 2 days, right? So what are you really buying? What are you doing? Instead of, saying no, no to shitty products, no to shitty ideas, no to registering your house, no to giving away your children, no to, anything that's, people that have set aside even saving money for their retirement or paying into their pension, are finding now the government's going, sorry, we don't have that anymore, or it's a lot less, or your money's worth nothing. And once again, you've given away your power into a system that can't be you because it's not you, right? And giving your power away to anything except, your own self seems to me to be a losing game.
Mm. Yep. And that it's all about the power. It's all about us believing that we aren't powerful, that we aren't the creation, that we're not supposed to be here, all this kind of stuff. And of course, all these companies are connected, and they're all connected to governments, and we know this. And this is why I think, as far as solutions, the main thing that we really need to do is we need to slow down. We need to stop and smell the roses every now and again, and look at things for what they are, rather than just believing what we're told. And we covered this as well in the last video, is, if you just believe what other people tell you, then you're just going along with the game. You're not thinking, you're being told what to do. And you can't break that cycle unless you stop. You need to stop and look, go, okay, what's really going on here? Why do I keep working harder, seeing my family less, but I seem to have less for it? My life's not getting better. How does that work? And how that works is, your pay might go up, but in the background they're decreasing the value of the money, because, as Lorenzo said, they can print as much as they want. And so they're constantly playing with us to keep us in this place where we think that we're ruled and we have no choice. But all it takes is to stop, a different perspective, all right, some more points of view, and we can start looking at things differently and start seeing solutions on how we can actually start building a better world. Because clearly the one that's been built around us is not benefiting us, shall we say.
No, not even a little bit. I mean, the picture that Campbell brought up has, is showing I guess in an interesting way what I've seen all along. Because if you consider life, I would think people used to work on farms. Let's say they used to make their own food. They were tricked into buying it eventually, and there was a whole bunch of small stores. And then the small stores were bought by bigger stores, and then they had the big box stores, which bought the smaller stores. So you had less of a choice, and even now the big box stores are closing, let's say, to online stores like Amazon and all of the other shipping stores. So it's convenient now and it's cheaper now, and I've heard it from lots of people that go, well, I get it in a day or two and it's 20% cheaper than if I walked into a store. But if you think about it, eventually everything's just available on your computer screen. It's going to be very easy for them to allow or disallow certain products to be available in certain parts of the world. And who and why are you allowing people to decide for you what you need to live your life in a happy, healthy, and free way? And by going along with this system, it's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and they bamboozle us, right? You need more money, so work longer hours. Oh, now you're working. Oh, now you can't, you don't have time to grow your food. Oh, I don't have time to cook. Oh, that's okay. We'll give you this pre-packaged box of crap. You can feed your family that. Yay. Now you can work all day, feed yourself crap, feel really bad, and have no money. See, aren't we a great government?
Aren't we great?
And when you look at the major companies, look at them: Coke, Pepsi, Nestle. Like, these are the most unhealthy companies on the earth. I mean, and these are the ones that own all the other crap. They're all just, and this is the thing, we think there's all these different brands, and they do things like, look at this, Quaker, right? Quaker oats. Doesn't that sound nice and natural? The Quakers out there, they're farming, they don't use chemicals. Pepsi owns it. All right, so that is just a scam. People think, oh, it's natural. That's just a picture and a word that Pepsi have put on there to trick you. What's natural is buying oats from a farmer, that haven't been fed with crap. And this is the whole system that is built up around us, and it's like I said, if you've got a job, you have to work, so you don't have time to cook, so they give you the food. Oh, you don't have time to do this? I will give you this. Oh, entertainment. Oh, you can't go out and watch concerts and stuff anymore. I will give you TV. Okay, there's your entertainment. That they're always there with the answer, but the answer is always really bad for us.
Really bad. I mean, in Japan, I used to love, I've been here for many years, the fact that food is convenient and it's available, and there's 24-hour convenies or convenience stores here, and instant noodles and all of these things, and lots of izakayas and restaurants everywhere, because people are working all the time. And as Campbell said, they don't have time to cook. But then when I've been doing a little bit more research, I see they're basically putting MSG in everything. I've seen it in the baked bread here and in the sweets. And it's like, why the hell are you putting MSG in a cinnamon tart? But I've seen it, why are you putting MSG, in a loaf of bread? But I've seen it. And, if you don't have a chance to figure out and source and even forget, a lot of people have forgotten how to make their own food and cook and to put nourishment on the table. And you get what they offer, and then they slip you at the Mickey, right? They put in MSG and melt your brain, or they put in sugar and melt your consciousness, or they put in what have you and melt your awareness and your health. And you haven't figured out through your own inexperience, how to make sure that that's not happening to you. Coke versus Pepsi.
Definitely. And yeah, the illusion of choice, right? The illusion of choice. And we get this everywhere. We get this in politics, right? People think that there's a difference between the right and the left, but there's not. Just two wings of one bird. We have, like communist countries in the free world, and we're taught they're different when they're not really. It's just a different way to control the people. We're given all this illusion that we're choosing when we're not. Because as you'll see here, there's only two things here. Now, if your choice is between only two things, that's actually not a choice. That's the same as being given one thing, because in this, you know that, like in politics, no matter where you vote, they're going to put it where they want it anyway. We know that these companies, they own all the other companies. It's not like you're going to be helping Coke out and Pepsi's going to die, because Pepsi own the other half of all the other companies. So it's just this big illusion. And as long as we're in that illusion, they've got us. So what we need to do is start looking third option, a fourth option, a fifth option, because they are always there. But until we look for them, we'll never find them. Being honest may not make you a lot of friends, but it will always make you the right ones. And don't they love to play on this? This is the whole, when people go up against the government, they love to just put them out as conspiracy theorists and all these crazy people. Look at them. Oh, look, they're not trying to pay their way. They want you to pay more than they do. They're freeloaders. But actually, they're just being honest. They're looking into things. They're speaking their truth. And this is the thing. It's all propaganda. The beast, the government, if you do anything to try and get your rights or to bring it down, it will turn around and attack you. And this is a system that says it is built up to protect you. But as soon as you step outside the line, it will come after you.
Yeah, you really, if you want to change your life, it's a good quote. I'm not sure about the Beatles and where they came from and where they went or who set them up. And, and I've heard a few people comment on the fact that, that
just a quote, guys.
They may have been Masons and all this, which is true. It very well could be. You don't become popular, I think, in this society without, the help of the monsters that be. But it really isn't the point. I mean, the point is what's being said, in that if you want to change your life, you have to be willing to give up your current life. And that could be your friends. It could be your convenience, could be your warm couch or pillow. It could even be the person you're married to at the time. It's really how much you're willing to give up to change your life. A lot of people have commented even on the first couple of shows we've done, at a show and a half, that we make it sound easy, and or what do you do in a real world situation? But people miss the forest for the trees, and it could be as simple as changing your diet and seeing how much better you feel. It could be as simple as getting some more exercise, and that's not going to change things, and it's not going to free you, but it may give you the space or the energy or the breath, the moment to make a new choice for yourself. I mean, too many people, and I'm going to say, are maybe coming here thinking we're going to give them the answer, and we're not. There is no answer for you other than what you figure out for yourself. And as you say, if you're honest, you may lose some friends, but what else are you going to gain by being honest? And who knows? But you'll find out if you decide to be honest, and then you let your life go where it needs to go for yourself.
Yeah. And how do you want to think about your life when you're on your deathbed? Do you want to think, oh, yeah, I paid so much tax, I paid my part. Oh, yeah, I helped the government. Or do you want to look back and think, well, look, with integrity, I was honest. I was me. I lived a good life, because this is, you don't want to be this person on their deathbed with regret. If only, right? If only, because so many people come across information and they're like, yeah, that, like with the government, so that's good. I'd love to not pay taxes. I'd love to reclaim, but then they don't do anything. And when you don't do anything, newsflash, nothing happens. And it's a quote attributed to, one of these names again, Einstein, and we don't know, but this is about the quote. And he says, nothing happens until something moves. And that's true. There's all this stuff, but we need to get up and do something. If we don't, and we're sitting there going, oh, but the government do this, and they've got all this power, and they do this to me, and I have to do this, and we're just giving our power away to them. And what we are confirming that we are a slave. That's all we're doing. So we need to look at this differently and understand that people only have the power over you that you give them. This is all a mental game. When you understand these are just a bunch of idiots in suits running around telling people what to do and trying to get as much off the top of the pile for themselves, then you can get a bit more perspective, because that's, we probably don't need to push it at this point with what's going on in the world. But the government is not your friend. That was a Terence McKenna as well quote. Basically, short and simple, the government is not your friend.
No, and they never were, and they can't be. If someone doesn't know you, they can't be your friend. Someone doesn't know you, they can't help you out. If someone doesn't know your life, they can't give you advice. Even people living next door are going to give you bad advice. You really have to figure out yourself in an honest way, and being honest, in relation to this quote could be, your strong points, your weak points, what you would like to do, what you wouldn't like to do. And if you are honest with yourself, I found eventually you start to get some answers that will help you grow in whatever direction you would like to grow in. But, you need to figure that out for yourself, however that happens to play out for you, no matter the consequences, and see what comes from that. Again, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and just on what you said before about the whole, Beatles, John Lennon, Tavistock, what was going on. First of all, that shouldn't have any bearing on the quote. A lot of people will see something and they'll go, "Oh, bloody John Lennon," and they won't read, and they just dismiss everything. That's a good quote. Don't limit yourself. But the other thing is, we don't know all the ins and outs. We don't know for certain 100% what John did. It looks like, sure, they were controlled. It also looks like he broke away and was murdered for it. But we don't know this. So to put judgment on it and to say, this is what happened, we can't listen to that, that's bad, that's just limiting yourself. And this is exactly the same thought process that goes through life and that goes through work and that goes through the law. If you think you know something and so you refuse to look into it, you're a slave. If you think, no, what do you mean? Everyone has to pay taxes or else they go to jail. Well, guess what? You're now a tax slave for the rest of your life because you refuse to get a different point of view. Okay, and don't be scared of different points of view. I'm scared of judging things and not getting all the information, because if you don't get all the information, guess what? You're probably going to make a wrong decision. So information is power, guys. So don't limit yourself by judging things and saying, oh, Lennon, Beatles, all crap, so everything to do with them is therefore invalid. That is really just limiting yourself.
Yeah, it's the message. No, it's the message, not the messenger. Assholes have brought me good advice, and people that have been friendly have brought me bad advice. And it really is a matter of you picking up for yourself what you feel. And the same message to Campbell isn't going to mean the same thing to me, and it's not going to mean the same thing to 28 people listening. It really, what being honest to you is only something you can figure out. What you need and how you need to be honest, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Greatness is not measured by money or stature. It's measured by courage of heart. And of course, we know this because when you look back in history or his story, or whatever it is, in the stories, the folklore, you don't find stories of people and it's saying this person was so great because look at how much they accumulated. Those stories don't exist. What exists are people who had courage and went out and lived their lives and helped people and did things and beyond. That's who we remember, not bankers. So how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as someone who, he was such a good person, he always did what he was told, he paid all his taxes on time, and he died broke?
Yeah, and he did.
I mean, this is the thing, guys. So have a bit of pride, right? Have a bit of pride in your line art, because we're created by the creator. Okay, we haven't been created by men and women. What's been created by men and women is the person, right? And as long as we believe and we act as that person, then that's what we are. But if we say no, we're a man or a woman, then we can start, taking a different path. And this is all about, like Lorenzo said, we can't give you the answers. It's like Morpheus said, all we can do is show you the door. You have to take the steps through. So we can show you what's going on. But as I said, you need to take the reins, go and do some research and find what answer is best for you, because what's best for me or best for Lorenzo is not going to be best for you. So this is a journey that we're starting, guys. And the journey starts with you, and we're just opening doors for you to have a look in. So whatever, tickles your fancy, follow it, follow your feeling, whatever feels good, go down that, do your research, get informed. And then when you're informed, you've got a bigger perspective. You can see what's really going on, rather than coming from a point of being programmed, basically, and listening to what other people tell you is true. So it's all about self-empowerment.
I mean, I can say, when we're looking at this image that Campbell's brought up here as well, to maybe some of the younger people that may be watching the show, as you get older, money and stature end up meaning much less. When you get to the end of your journey and you're about to leave your body, you're not really thinking about the money and stature you have in your pockets at the time. I can say for my, and I'm going to turn it into a personal experience I've had recently. My mother's getting very old. She's getting closer to death. My whole life I heard money, stature, money, stature, money, stature, money, stature, from the time I was little, about, how important those things were. And now, my mother, being close to the end of things, only wants to talk about her heart. That's it. Only wants to talk about love, only wants to seek and see about all the mistakes maybe she's made in relation to how she's feeling about being alive and the life she's led, and how she's loved someone or hasn't loved someone, how she's been rotten or not rotten. I mean, she won't use these words because she's still, stuck in maybe a lot of the challenges a lot of us may have had in their life. But I'll tell you, she's not talking about money or stature anymore. Neither is my father, is getting near the end of his days. It's coming along to, oh, I love my parents for this, and I love my son for that, and I wish I'd done more of this, and I wish I'd done more, less of that. And talk to anyone who's along in their days, and you may see what I've seen, as this picture states. Your true wealth is measured in things beyond what they say you can have. It's measured in what you claim for yourself.
Definitely. I mean, have we ever heard of someone on their deathbed and it's like, oh, what do you want? You're about to die. What's your last wish? And the person looks up and says, please bring me a suitcase of my money.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't matter. When you're in that point that you actually have to look at it, like, death or an illness or something, everything changes. So maybe we should get that perspective now, rather than wait until, it's too to change. Because as we said before, we don't want regret. Don't want regret. It never ceases to amaze me. We love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. And this is to do with the same thing. What are you going to believe?
It's true. I guess the strongest man or woman in the room might be the one that doesn't mind looking like a fool, in my opinion. If as long as you're happy with what you're doing and you're feeling strong, I would say your choices end at that moment. Hurt nobody, do no harm, as they say right at the beginning. Only law. After that, there was one comment in one of our last videos that mentioned that Campbell and I weren't getting to the answer of things on the globe, which is another topic for another conversation, whether we're on a globe or not in the first place. But, the answers are so simple, most people just miss them. I found the answer is, you are the answer. You are the beginning, you are the end, the alpha and the omega. You're here to make your life. You're here to decide for yourself. You're here to choose what it is you would like to do. What we're simply stating in this particular video is, the wrong path maybe you've been tricked to go down, from the time you were born, or from the bad advice you got as a little one to the bad advice you continue to get as a big one. And, maybe if you, put on your big boy pants or your big woman pants or whatever it is you feel like wearing at the time, and realize, you've got to, figure it out for yourself. Your opinion about things for you is the most valuable thing going, I would feel.
Yeah, and just on that is the answers are inside; they're not outside. Okay, so if you're looking for someone to give you the answer, like if you're looking around, give me the answer on where are we living? What's the shape of the earth? What if they give you the wrong answer? Where are you then? So this is the thing. This is an inside job, guys. Life is an inside job. If you want to know something, you need to go and research it and get as many different opinions as you can, different points of view, and then come to your own conclusion, something that is yours. Okay, if someone is giving you an answer, like I said, they may be right. They may be 100% wrong. Okay, so where do you want to be? Do you want to be running around spouting off, thinking you're so smart when you're completely wrong? This is the other thing about opinions is they love, people who speak up out of, then they love to point at them and laugh at them. Look, that person is different. But really, look at the past. People who do speak up and have conviction, they're the ones who change the world. If everyone sits there and is too scared to speak up, nothing changes. So, as we've mentioned a few times, all we can do is show you the door. We're just trying to spark new thoughts in your mind, new ways of looking at things, and then you need to walk that trail. Whatever resonates with you, look into it. But you need to come from a place of inside, right? Get a book, read it. Get another book, read that. Get your own interpretation. Stop looking outside for everyone to give you the answers.
Maybe a good way
they're wrong.
Maybe a good way of looking at it, as Campbell said, is we're trying to show you the door in such that, the door is the door you walked in through. And most people will go, I don't know what you mean. It's very poetic or metaphorical speaking, but maybe by figuring out what your door is made of, it's made of your birth certificate, it's made of your belief system, it's made of your taxes, it's made of your choices, it's made of your schooling. So if you start to see the frame of the door, and all the bits and pieces that put that door together that you did for yourself, then you can start to find that door. And once you find the door, then you can figure out maybe how to pick the lock and get out. And maybe, you got to find that door that brought you in the first place and see what it's made out of, and, see how it was constructed. And from there, you might be able to find some better answers for yourself.
Yeah. Or just kick it down and go straight for it. Because on the other side of that door is something different, a different perspective. And we think it's normal to live in a box because that's what we've been taught. But guys, unless you try something different, how do you know what it is? It's this thing again about opinions. People tell, it's so hard to do this, it's so hard to do that, you'll end up in jail, or that's no good. How do you know? And how do they know, right? This is what I talked about last time, is this whole opinion thing is, most people have opinions that are based on nothing. And they'll tell you it as if it's truth. And so if you go around believing people's opinions, you're, sorry, but you just make yourself stupid. All right. Are you going to take the red pill or the blue pill? Are you going to go back to sleep and believe what is to you on the television? Or are you going to open your eyes, look sideways and think, oh, hang on, maybe there's a different perspective I can look at here. Maybe there's something going on. Will you be Neo or will you be Mr. Smith?
Maybe I'll go for the purple pill. You'll be both. Again, who knows who set these movies up? Who knows why they're here? Who knows what's going on? But it really doesn't matter. If you take what you need to take from them and you figure out what you need to figure out from them, you can make a life, that you need to make for yourself. And, this way, in the end, you'll be happy with what you've chosen, since you've chosen it without falling down the path of fears, let's say.
And, we don't know how the Matrix what it was put out. Obviously, it's a big movie with a big message, but there's different ways you can take it. Look at the Matrix and go, oh, just control batteries in a big machine. Look at this, you know, they've got, what are we going to do? Oh my God. Or you can say, well, look, this is showing that we can actually look at things differently. We can change things. And that perspective is on your perspective. Are you looking, you know, positive or negative? Right? We don't really hear so much, you know, so much now is, you know, years ago, it was always about, oh, are you a positive person or a negative person? And it is a true thing. If you look at the world as negative and you're a victim and you can't do anything, you're just going to see the bad part. You're going to see that you're a battery. But if you see that as good and potential and you can change it and you're here to experience it, well, then you can, you know, you can take the pill, right? You can take the red pill and wake up and start to change things. And I think we have one more. Wealth is not about having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of options.
I would agree. And let's remember something we've talked about from the beginning. Don't wait for someone to give you those options. It's not Coke or Pepsi and then Mountain Dew and then Dr. Pepper. Those options and the ones worth having are the ones you find for yourselves. Might be the hidden options. For me anyways, I found that. The options I found for myself were never the ones that were offered to me. You know, I was told I have to go down a certain path for my job, even to get my visa in Japan, you know, how I can be free, how I can travel, all these things. I was given options and they were all wrong. You know, I chose a different option. You know, I chose what I found to be my options and they were always better. You know, they were always harder to find because no one was saying, here it is. But generally, I would say to enhance this quote, you know, that we've put up here is the best options are the ones you figure out for yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And to look at that quote might be to, it's all about having different options because they give us options, right? But they give us two options. It's always left or right, you know, pay your tax or go to, you know, all this kind of stuff. But maybe we need the third option, the fourth option, the option that are presented, because that's where there's real room to change things, to make real change, is to go outside this, to get outside that bandwidth that they want us to stay inside and look what else is there. Try something different. Will it work? Maybe it won't. But the thing is, there are no mistakes, right? There are only mistakes. Every time we try something and we don't get the result we want, we've gone forward. We've learned something. We've learned what doesn't work. Maybe we've learned how to do things better. Maybe we're always going forward. So options, give yourself options, but I would say options that are outside the mainstream. The options you want you to look at as options, because that is a trap.
You know, and even looking for other options will find you other options. It's just the way it goes. And the reason it's abstract and what we're sharing is everyone needs to find their own options. And it's the very effort of finding those options that will bring you more options, and so on and so forth. And until you are living maybe in a way that you're not right now, but you would like to, by doing it for yourself, with yourself, and through yourself. Well, the options you find are the ones that are worth having, are the ones you find for yourself. And one option will lead to the next. You know, a journey of 1,000,000 miles, as I guess it's an old quote, a Taoist quote perhaps, starts with the first step. You know, it's a little trite, but it's still the truth. You find one option, you'll find the next. You find the third, you'll find the fourth. You know, as I said, you eat healthy, you know, you'll get stronger, you have more sleep, you'll feel more rested. You'll find better options because your choices will be more obvious than if, you know, you're hungover and stupid and full of, you know, sugar and MSG and your brain's all fogged up. So it could be as simple as, you know, changing how you eat and how you sleep and how you exercise, which could give you the opportunity to gain more power, to find more options and let it grow from there. You know, I think in having seen this and chatted with Campbell, we're going to entitle this The Real You, you know, perhaps from your birth to your end, and how you find the real you, how you get there. You know, again, it's just a journey. It's just a beginning. There's more to come, of course. This can be an endless odyssey, as anyone would wish it to be for their life, you know, an endless exploration. And, you know, I, for one, am delighted that we're doing this and you're here with us.
And yeah, that is the Odyssey, right? It's the Odyssey of life. We're born, they tell us we're birthed, they tell product. So the Odyssey is really a journey about rediscovering us and who we really are, and discovering that the power is in, and that we are only slaves if we believe that. Ultimately, we are the point of we have the choice. And When we understand that, then we have options. Obviously, then we can do different things. And I'll just add as well, before is just be careful of who you're spending a lot of time. You know, if you're thinking like this and you're thinking, oh, you know, God, the government's a bit dodgy. What's all this stuff? You're surrounded by people who are like, what do you mean? No, are you trying to get a free ride? You must pay your taxes or go to jail. You might want to different people to hang around because they are going to influence you. And what they do is take your options away. They will limit you because they will get you into a frame where you think you have options. Okay, your options are pay tax or go to jail. Not an option. So if people are too small for you, if they can't think, if they're stuck in them, love them, smile. Yes, you don't have to tell them, you don't have to change their mind. Just walk away and get to people who are more on your people that can help expand you and really bring you back to who you are.
Yeah, or go in the woods and be with nobody, you know, and sit with yourself and see, yeah, and what you need to feel for yourself. But it's true, you know, if people are limiting you, leave them. If a situation is limiting you, leave it. If a job is limiting you, leave it. You know, if a belief system is limiting you in relation to wanting to be the real you, you know, all you can do is leave it and see what's coming next.
And just, have the courage to do that and understand that you are protected. So, you know, step out on faith, have a bit of courage, and amazing things will happen. We're living in uncertain times. We don't know what's going to go on. Job security is pretty much out the window. Dependent a lot on, you know, the choices that you make and the information you want to give. So what are you going to do? Are you looking for something new? Are you looking for a new way to create wealth for your family that is, shall we say, Babylon proof? And on top of that, are you looking for a good group of people to work with, a good network? Because as we know, going forward, this is all about creating networks of people on our frequency who have the same morals and ethics and intent, and who all want to walk forward together and create something so much better. So if you're looking for some good products, a good business, and most of all, a good group of people, I think we may have found something you might be interested in.
You don't need to sell your soul to make a living. You don't need to sell your soul to have your family happy, healthy, and free. A simple shift in what you would like to do, the same amount of energy, and it can all come back to you. Freedom Shift Life. Campbell did it, I did it. Happy to see you there.
freedomshift.life. That is a wrap for part 2 of the Odyssey of Truth. Yay, we got it. You'll find links for Telegram, our Telegram group, and also our email list. So make sure you join those so that you can keep informed and keep up with the Odyssey. What was that, Lorenzo?
Yeah, and our Telegram channel. We've got both going on now. The group is for chatting. The channel is going to be where we're going to release the videos. They will be up on Campbell's channel, Didactic. This next one we'll be releasing on the New Now. And keep an eye on both. And, we'll have part 2, maybe part 2.5 coming up soon. And we're open to questions, suggestions, feedback, all those lovely things.
Yeah, exactly. So every 2 weekly, and then on the in-between week, we're going to have it. So if you've got any questions that you want us to broach in that discussion, leave them down below in a comment and we'll do that. So thanks for spending some time with us, guys. Make sure you get this content around too. If you think it's empowering to people, give us a like and a comment. And of course, go over to Now and Auto. You'll find the links below. And we will be back in a week with an update, and in 2 weeks, part 3 of the Odyssey of Truth. So thank you, Lorenzo.
Thank you, Campbell. It's been fun. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We appreciate it.
Guys, have an amazing day, and we'll talk on the next upload. Bye for now.
Free the world.